Mañana 1 de julio, México e Israel celebran, conmemoran los 70 años de sus relaciones diplomáticas que se establecieron el 1 de julio de 1952 en el periodo del presidente Miguel Alemán. Y en ese marco se encuentra en México el embajador de Israel ante las Naciones Unidas, Gilad Erdan, a quien le doy la bienvenida y le agradezco que esté con nosotros esta mañana en el programa. Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for taking the call.
Good morning, Pascal, and I'm happy to be here with you.
I was telling our audience that Mexico and Israel are commemorating 70 years of diplomatic relationships. This is a great milestone, don't you think?
Yes, and that is why I came here from New York to participate in our 70th anniversary to our relations, and also to meet the Jewish community and also senior officials in the foreign ministry here to think how can we take our relations to the next level.
Bueno, me dice el embajador Erdan que se encuentra justamente en México con motivo de este 70 aniversario de las relaciones entre los dos países. Dice, estoy aquí para encontrarme con la comunidad judía mexicana y también con funcionarios de relaciones exteriores para ver cómo podemos llevar las relaciones de Israel y México a un siguiente nivel. Mr. Ambassador, let me ask you about your job at the United Nations. In the context of the actual war between Russia and Ukraine, it has been said that the United Nations has lost its relevance, that it hasn't been able to avoid war or try to put an end to war. What is your take on the role of the United Nations, not only in this conflict, but in general?
Look, I think that when we see the results in Ukraine, the tragedy, the people who are being killed every day, so clearly I can understand the criticism because the UN was established after the Holocaust and the Second World War in order to avoid these tragedies from taking place. But I think that today, because the world, is divided between, in general, between China, Russia from one side, the United States from the other side. So many times the Security Council is almost paralyzed. But nevertheless, having said that, I think that many countries, member states, they did organize themselves in a way that to impose economic sanctions and many decisions that were made against Russia in order to stop the war. So it's still too early to judge. We all hope that this war will end. Israel supports, of course, Ukraine and Ukraine's sovereignty, and we condemn the Russian aggression. But as for now, yes, I can understand the criticism against the UN. We have many more reasons to criticize, we in Israel, to criticize how the UN is functioning.
And we will certainly get into that. Dice el embajador Gilad Erdan que ante las críticas que ha recibido en Naciones Unidas por su papel reciente en el conflicto, la guerra de Rusia contra Ucrania, él entiende las críticas que ha recibido, pero dice que la actual arquitectura de Naciones Unidas ha dado lugar a la parálisis del Consejo de Seguridad, con China y Rusia por un lado, con Estados Unidos por el otro lado, pero dice que quizás sea demasiado temprano para hacer un juicio final sobre el papel de Naciones Unidas y todos esperamos, me dice el embajador, que termine pronto la guerra. Israel condena la invasión rusa a Ucrania y apoya a Ucrania en su soberanía. Mr. Ambassador, we are seeing the sanctions, of course, against Russia, but are they really working?
That's a very good question. I think that the sanctions they have some kind of influence over Russia, but to know, whether this is going to influence the decisions of President Putin, this is something I really cannot know. I'm not sure anyone can know. It depends how much he's determined to continue with what he calls a special operation, and we call it, of course, a war. But I don't think that anyone can answer this question.
Le pregunto al embajador si las sanciones contra Rusia están funcionando después de 4 meses de guerra, y me dice, pues es difícil saberlo, no creo que nadie pueda saber qué tanta influencia o qué tanto doblegarán a Putin. Sin duda tienen influencia sobre Rusia, pero si esto va a doblegar a Putin, nadie puede saberlo. Mr. Ambassador, President Putin has said, as you just said, that this is not a war, it is a special operation against the Nazis who control Ukraine and are seeking the denazification of Ukraine. Do you agree on this perspective?
No, we disagree. We are not aware of Nazis that are controlling over Ukraine. Israel has very good relations with Ukraine, with also President Zelensky. I'm collaborating with the Ukrainian ambassador to the UN, Sergei. He's even a friend of mine. So, no, we disagree. And we all remember that the foreign minister of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, also said a few things about the reasons that led, or the involvement that led to the Holocaust, and then he apologized and regret. So we're not aware of what you just quoted.
Bueno, le pregunto al embajador sobre las declaraciones del gobierno ruso, del propio presidente Putin, en el sentido de que esta operación militar especial, entre comillas, como llaman a la invasión a Ucrania, tiene por objeto desnazificar a Ucrania. Y me dice, pues en Israel no sabemos que los nazis estén controlando Ucrania, no estamos de acuerdo con esa perspectiva, y hay que recordar que el ministro de Exteriores ruso, Sergei Lavrov, pues en una declaración muy polémica dijo que el propio Adolfo Hitler tenía raíces judías, cosa con lo que tuvo que disculparse, o por lo que tuvo que disculparse el presidente Putin. Ambassador, you and I were teenagers in the 80s when the nightmare or the perspective of a nuclear war was really present. And after arms control talks and after the collapse of the Soviet Union, it seemed that the world had gone past this nuclear threat, yet we are talking again of nuclear weapons and nuclear threat. What do you think about this?
You mean now we are talking about Iran, or
well, we can talk about Iran, yes, but first I'd like to talk about nuclear threat in the context of the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
So in the context of Russia-Ukraine conflict, as you said, it's a nightmare, and I hope this scenario would never be materialized. No one wants to think and believe, because once a nuclear weapon would be used, so it would give ideas to other countries as well, and we are going to live in a totally different world where we don't want to live in such a world. And that is exactly why we in Israel oppose strongly the rejoining to the JCPOA, the old deal that was signed with the Ayatollah regime in Iran, in Tehran, because we understand clearly that they deceived the world. They do want to achieve military nuclear capabilities. Mm-hmm. And if you think, or some of us, or many of us that think that when President Putin now holds nuclear capabilities, it is scary, So just imagine if this crazy Ayatollah regime that is torturing and killing its own people and is spreading terror and supporting terror all around the world, specifically in the Middle East, if they acquire nuclear capabilities, which definitely the deal with Iran, the JCP, which is called JCPOA, is not going to stop them permanently, but only to delay it in a couple of years. This is going to be even a bigger nightmare for the people of the world.
Bueno, le pregunto al embajador sobre pues, el regreso del mundo a la amenaza nuclear, algo que nos recuerda a quienes tenemos esta edad, pues, los tiempos de la Guerra Fría y del enfrentamiento entre la Unión Soviética y Estados Unidos. Y me dice, sí, efectivamente, hemos vuelto a escuchar estas amenazas nucleares, no solo por parte de Putin, sino también por parte de Irán. Nos dice si nos da miedo escuchar al presidente Putin hablar de armas nucleares, imagínense ustedes a un régimen como el de Irán, con sus ayatolas, que pues tengan al mundo bajo esta amenaza, porque el acuerdo que se logró con Irán para encauzar su investigación nuclear a asuntos pacíficos y no a las armas nucleares ha resultado una decepción. Irán ha engañado al mundo y este acuerdo no va a impedir que finalmente Irán posea y tenga la capacidad de utilizar armas nucleares, sino solo lo va a posponer un par de años. Es una pesadilla, me dice el embajador Gilad Erdan. Ambassador, it seems that it seems that democracy in the world is suffering right now. It has been downplayed by regimes all over the world, by populist regimes in Latin America, by authoritarian regimes like Afghanistan. We just saw how the son of a former dictator in the Philippines has just arrived in the presidency of that country again. What is your take on democracy right now?
Well, I think that there have been threats and that undermined or put the value of democracy, which I hope many of us, or we hope in the future all of us would believe in, put it in jeopardy. But it only means that the other parts of the world that believe in democracy, like Mexico and like Israel, should get closer and closer and collaborate, because once we would showcase these countries the fruits of having a democracy, the freedom, the thriving economies, then we are going to increase the chances that other countries would support the democratic system and not continue to support dictators. So again, my take is that we should connect ourselves closer. That is, for me, taking the relations between Israel and Mexico that truly believe in freedom and democracy, taking it to the next level, showing the people of Mexico and Israel how much we have to gain from collaborating with one another. And the same goes with the collaboration of Israel with many, many other countries. We just recently signed peace agreements with new Arab countries like Bahrain, like the UAE. No country is perfect, by the way, but still, when we believe in equal rights, in gender equality, and in many more freedoms, so when we work together, the democratic world, it will help to convince the other countries not to support dictators.
Bueno, le pregunto al embajador sobre el estado de la democracia en el mundo, que parece estar perdiendo brillo e interés en muchos países, y me dice eso debe llevar a los países que sí creen en la democracia a colaborar, los países que creen en la igualdad de derechos en la igualdad y el desarrollo económico. Tienen que colaborar y entonces a través de esa colaboración, pues mostrarle a otros países cuáles son los valores de la democracia. By the way, Mr. Ambassador, your country will have its fifth election in 4 years. Is this a sign of a vibrant democracy, or is it a sign of a democracy which is paralyzed by debate, by political polarization and debate?
I think it's a sign that our society is really divided because, not like many other countries, Israel is a very young country. It was established less than 75 years ago. We still live under constant threat. Iran, we are the only country that is being threatened with annihilation by another member state in the UN. Iran literally, formally threatens Israel with annihilation. From time to time, Israel is being bombed by missiles and rockets that are being launched by terrorist organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah. Also, they are terrorist proxies of Iran. So the Israeli society is very diverse, but also very divided about the solutions. But the fact that we are having fifth elections in 3 years, well, it's not good for the economy. It's definitely not good for the society, but it does mean that we are 100% committed to our democratic values because we go again and again to cast our ballots and to try to decide who should lead the country. Mm-hmm. And everyone, they comply with the decisions that are being made by the people of Israel. So I hope we will achieve political stability soon. But still, the fact that we go back to cast our ballots, it only means that we are fully committed to the notion of a democratic state, that only the people can decide who is going to lead and make the decision for them.
Le pregunto al embajador sobre la quinta elección en 4 años que tendrá Israel. Ayer pues se disolvió el Parlamento y se convocó una nueva elección. Me dice, bueno, es un signo de una sociedad dividida, es malo para la economía. Hay que recordar que somos un país joven y un país que vive bajo la amenaza de otro país de la ONU, Irán, que amenaza con destruirlo. Pero al mismo tiempo significa que los israelíes tienen un compromiso al 100% con los valores de la democracia y que sea la gente, los ciudadanos de ese país, los que decidan quién debe gobernarlos. Ojalá pronto podamos alcanzar la estabilidad, me dice el embajador Gilad Erdan. Ambassador, I interviewed President Shimon Peres in Jerusalem about 10 years ago, and I remember something he told me. He told me that Israel is an island in an ocean, and Israel needs that this ocean remains calm. How do you agree with this view, and how do you find the ocean right now?
So Peres was a great leader, and at the time when he told you about Israel as an island surrounded with an ocean that should remain calm, he was correct, and it's still what we are trying to do. That is why Israel's hand is always stretched to find new partners in our region, and that is why we were so happy to sign new peace agreements with new partners like the Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and this new circle of peace also influenced our old partners like Egypt and Jordan, where that we had peace with them, but the new peace agreements helped to warm this accord, and now we have new collaborations, new initiatives. Direct flights are being inaugurated every day, and you hear about partnerships between Israelis and Arabs and Muslims almost every week. So we are quite satisfied from the stability. of course, that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is the one who is always threatening to shake this stability. Right now, I think everyone, including the American administration, understands that we don't have a willing partner that we can make peace with. I mean, in the Palestinian side, the Palestinian society is divided between the Palestinian Authority and terrorist organizations that are still armed and active, like Hamas, that controls Gaza and holds thousands of rockets and missiles, and Islamic Jihad. So right now, when it seems that Abu Mazen is very close to his retirement, there's no way now to find a permanent solution to the conflict, diplomatic solution. So what we're trying to do is to help strengthening the Palestinian economy, to ease their daily life. These are the things we're trying to do to build the infrastructure for the future peace with the Palestinians, hopefully.
Le pregunto al embajador respecto de una frase que me dijo el entonces presidente israelí Shimon Peres cuando lo entrevisté en Jerusalén hace casi una década. Me dijo: Israel es una isla en un océano e Israel necesita que ese océano esté en calma. Me dice, bueno, es una declaración interesante, tenía razón cuando se lo dijo, y es lo que estamos tratando de lograr, y por eso nos da mucho gusto haber firmado acuerdos recientes con otros países como los Emiratos Árabes, como Bahrein, como Marruecos, y esperamos que este círculo de paz que estamos construyendo pues tenga influencia sobre otros países de la región como Egipto y Jordania. Estamos estableciendo vuelos directos, me dice el embajador, y habla del conflicto de Israel y Palestina, que pues siempre es un tema que sacude la estabilidad. Dice, no tenemos en este momento a un socio que tenga ganas de construir la paz. Actualmente la sociedad palestina está dividida entre la autoridad palestina por un lado y la organización Hamas por otro. Pues me dice que está intentando Israel estabilizar la economía palestina para en un futuro poder lograr un acuerdo de convivencia pacífica en la región. Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for these minutes. Thank you for taking the call, and I wish you a good stay in Mexico.
Thank you very much, and I really hope that my visit will help to again to upgrade Mexico and Israel relations, because I truly believe that we can help to solve each other's problems. Talking about sustainable agriculture, water scarcity, cyber, digital health. There are so many things that our people can gain from this cooperation that I truly believe that we're going next year and next decade, we're going to celebrate the 80th anniversary to our relations with being much closer allies, specifically also in the international arena.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bueno, ahí está el embajador Gilad Erdan, además un político muy experimentado en Israel que pues tuvo cargos como ministro en varios ministerios del país a lo largo de más de una década, de 2009 a 2020, y que finalmente me dijo que espera que sea productiva su estancia en México, donde espera hablar con autoridades mexicanas sobre la cooperación en temas como la escasez de agua, como la agricultura sostenible y la transformación digital.